Some people believe they can hurt me, but that makes me laugh because they don't know who I am. They are unaware of my thoughts and can't even touch the things that truly belong to me. Our life can sometimes be complicated and stressful, with many problems to solve, differences to overcome with friends and family, challenges at work, and the need to take care of our health and finances. Dealing with all of this can disturb our tranquility, but learning to act as if nothing affects us is crucial. It's difficult to remain calm, but we can do something about it. We can pretend that these things don't affect us and act without being dominated by circumstances. In this video, I will explain why it's so beneficial to be different and thus find more assertive solutions and answers to life's challenges. We would be grateful if you started by showing your support through a like. Every time you do that, it signals to YouTube that you liked what you watched. And if you're new here, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss all the valuable content we're preparing for you. Epictetus believed that freedom was the most essential aspect of life. If we are controlled by people or external circumstances, then we are not free. Learning to own our emotions is essential. If someone can anger us or steal our joy, that person becomes our master, and we become their slaves. Attaining freedom is significant because once we are independent from these factors, we can be free both externally and internally. No longer subject to the influence of passions, we must do our best to free ourselves from external forces that seek to control us. Remember, you have the power to choose your behavior. Just as Viktor Frankl, the Swiss psychiatrist who spent 3 years in a concentration camp, demonstrated that no one can steal our freedom. We can choose our attitude in any situation. Many contemporary psychologists claim that it is impossible to always feel happy in difficult circumstances. But this is possible for those who have worked on themselves and practiced techniques that help maintain calm, serenity, and joy in any situation. Thus, we are all capable of achieving levels of serenity in any situation, even if we don't initially possess it internally. It is possible to continue being ourselves by choosing an indifferent attitude. We can choose not to react and pretend that things do not affect us. But what happens when we start pretending that something doesn't affect us? According to Epictetus, you become what captures your attention. He discovered that if we begin to act in a certain way or pay attention to something, we eventually become that. You start believing that something doesn't matter, and in this way, it becomes relevant to you. This will eventually become a reality in your mind through practice. Initially, you may not feel this calm and tranquility, but over time, you will. William James, the father of American psychology, said, "If you want a quality, act as if you already had it." As a result, William James found that if you start believing you have a certain quality, that quality eventually becomes yours. As long as you remain calm and are not affected by circumstances, the same principle aligns with the theory of Cynic, that the steeper the learning curve, the longer you must practice. Initially, you may decide that something doesn't affect you or is irrelevant, but it's equally important to control your thoughts. This won't work if you decide that something doesn't matter and then regret or become upset about it in your thoughts. It's crucial to align your external behavior with a consistent internal thought pattern. For example, tell yourself that nothing affects you and nothing can affect you. Decide that no one hurts you and you won't feel hurt. You have control over your thoughts, not external events. Understand this, and finding strength is quite simple. If you don't believe someone has offended you, you won't feel offended. Furthermore, for someone to offend you, you need to accept the offense. Therefore, if you start telling yourself that no one can hurt you and that nothing can ruin your serenity, this will eventually become a fact. You'll realize the power of this strategy. If you can convince yourself externally that nothing matters and then convince yourself internally that nothing matters, that you're calm and invulnerable, immune to circumstances and what others say, eventually you'll achieve true serenity. After that, circumstances or people's behavior will no longer affect you. You'll be able to maintain composure and serenity. And what happens when you try to maintain composure? In short, various aspects of your life will improve. You'll notice a decrease in stress because it's not things themselves that disturb us, but how we feel about them. Remember that your interpretation of circumstances will also affect your level of ambiguity. If we learn to control our thoughts and behaviors, eventually, we will be able to control our levels of ambiguity. If this happens, we will be liberated from these external circumstances and will have control over our internal states. The pursuit of freedom is an essential theme in Epictetus's philosophy. He believed that being truly free meant being independent of external circumstances and mastering our internal emotions. Freedom is not just related to our external situation, but also to how we interpret and react to the situations we face. Epictetus uses the example of Viktor Frankl to illustrate the importance of choosing our attitude in the face of adversity. Frankl, a Swiss psychiatrist who survived a concentration camp, demonstrated that even in the worst circumstances, we can maintain the freedom to choose our thoughts and attitudes. This inner freedom allows us to find meaning and purpose, even in moments of extreme suffering. Serenity is also a skill we can develop. Epictetus suggests that we can practice emotional indifference by choosing how we react to the situations we face. By acting as if something doesn't affect us, gradually, we become less susceptible to these emotional disturbances. This practice doesn't deny the importance of dealing with emotions, but emphasizes the need not to be dominated by them. It's a journey that requires effort and patience, but the result is achieving true inner serenity. Epictetus highlights that through this accomplishment, we can be free regardless of external circumstances. Throughout the text, Epictetus emphasizes the importance of controlling our thoughts and behaviors. He reminds us that we are responsible for our own reactions and emotions, and that we can choose how we feel in the face of life situations. Epictetus's philosophy can be a valuable source of wisdom to face the challenges of daily life and achieve a more peaceful and meaningful life. The practice of serenity, emotional indifference, and inner freedom can allow us to live more consciously, responsibly, and resiliently. Thank you very much for watching. What did you think of this valuable lesson? Please let us know your opinion. If you're new here, consider subscribing to journey with us along the paths of wisdom. Until next time.